while we wait for people to log in, I'll go over some housekeeping comments. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for your participation in our virtual community meeting to discuss the Aliso Canyon Fund Monitoring Supplemental Environmental Project Implementation. My name is Jason Lowe, and I am the lead for the Monitoring Analysis Division at South Coast AQMD. Before we begin, allow me to review some of the general instructions for the meeting. During the meeting, all participants will be placed on mute posts. That means you will not be able to mute or unmute your lines manually. This meeting is being recorded. So by participating in the Zoom webinar hosted by South Coast AQMD, you unequivocally agree to authorize recording of audio and visual content presented during the live event and consent to subsequent use of the recording in the public domain by South Coast AQMD. You can hang up and or leave the Zoom meeting at any time. I will announce the time for public comment portion of the meeting, and that will be later on in the program. Please be respectful of everyone's time and treat others with courtesy, civility, and respect. Failure to do so can result in your mic being muted or you being dropped from the meeting. We greatly appreciate your participation and patience this evening. I would like to acknowledge the, Denny, do we have any public officials present?
Yes, we do. We have Marco Enriquez from Senator Dianne Feinstein's office in attendance.
Great. So as Denny has mentioned, I'd like to acknowledge the public official, including Marco Christensen Enriquez from the field office of Dianne Feinstein to this meeting, who are here listening to you and also to the update with regards to this important project. And then I guess at this point, we're going to go ahead and start with the program. Also, I want to acknowledge that in attendance tonight are members of the Aliso Fund Committee. For tonight, we at South Coast AQMD wanted to share with you the path forward from here on the error monitoring implementation and provide opportunity to have a dialogue with you of the process. South Coast AQMD has become the main contact for the SEP implementation, and we are progressing the fastest way to appropriately move the SEP forward and convert it from ideas through our public process into deployment. The public process is there to provide integrity and transparency, but may be unintuitive, so we hope tonight's discussion provides some clarity. We participated in the previous public meetings to hear your thoughts and collect feedback from you. We are here to present, now that we are the implementation lead, what the public process is and how your prior feedback is being incorporated. Also, it has confirmed that feedback and to provide a rough timeline of things to come and where additional comments can be made. With that, I'd like to introduce the Advanced Measurements Manager, Dr. Andrea Polidori, who will give a presentation. Andrea?
Yes, thank you, Jason, and good evening, everyone.
And then Paul, can you put up the presentation, please?
Very good, okay. Yeah, again, my name is Andrea Polidori. I am the Advanced Monitoring Technologies Manager at the South Coast AQMD, and today I'm here to discuss the implementation of the Aliso Canyon Monitoring SEP. SEP again stands for Supplemental Environmental Project. Next. So as most of you might know already, the Los Angeles City Attorney's Office, Los Angeles County Council's Office, the California Attorney General's Office, and CARB entered into a settlement agreement to resolve the claims against SoCalGas in connection with the Aliso Canyon natural gas leak that occurred back in 2015. As part of the settlement agreement, the Aliso Fund was created to receive settlement revenue. And the Aliso Fund is overseen by the Aliso Fund Committee, which is comprised of one representative from each of the following offices: City Attorney, County Council, and Attorney General. The settlement agreement includes funding for a supplemental environmental project, or SEP, to develop an air monitoring network that measures different air pollutants in real time, and also a symptom and incident reporting system in Porter Ranch and in the community surrounding the SoCalGas facility. Next. So to this end, the Aliso Fund Committee is providing $1.5 million and requested the South Coast AQMD to manage the implementation of this real-time air monitoring network and symptom reporting system. The South Coast AQMD is also adding $1 million as part of its own settlement agreement with SoCalGas, and therefore there's a total of $2.5 million for implementing this SEP. So these funds, $2.5 million, will be used to select one or more contractor to implement this air monitoring and incident reporting system. Next. So according to the consent decree, essentially, mandates the implementation of the monitoring SEP in Porter Ranch, and basically states that this shall include at the minimum the following criterias. So it should implement a monitoring system for real-time measurements of, at the minimum, benzene, other BTEX compound, and methane. And for those of you that are not familiar with BTEX, this is a very important and toxic class of gaseous compounds. One of the other requirements is that these funds should be used to implement near real-time that are accessible, near real-time data that are accessible through a public website. And last but not least, these funds should also be used to develop an online symptom and incident reporting system to be used by the community for basically gathering information about local environmental condition and public health concerns. Next. So far we had, 3 community meetings, the third one of which is the one we are having today. Back in September 2020, we had a meeting to essentially give an overview to the community of the Aliso Canyon monitoring SEP. We discussed viable air monitoring strategy and methods for implementing this SEP. And this basically provided the first one of the several opportunities for us to gather community feedback. And then the second meeting that we had was about 1 month later, where we gave an update on the monitoring SEP. There we discussed more of the specific in terms of the performance of monitoring. And we also conducted a survey to gather information and feedback from the community on the highest air monitoring priorities and strategies to be implemented through this SEP. So the meeting that we are having today, in essence, it is to, basically we are going to describe the process that will lead to the selection of one or more contractors for implementing the SEP. Next, please. This is just, are some of the questions that we asked back in 2020, in October of 2020, during one of these community meetings. And it's just to show that, essentially it seems that at least according to this subset of answers that we gathered during the meeting, the community seems to think that community monitoring, as opposed to different other strategies for implementing this particular project, community monitoring seems to be, the highest priority, for implementation of the SEP. And one of the other information that we were able to gather is that the community seems to think that coverage and therefore obtaining air quality information at multiple points within the community is also very important, is also a very important priority, along with developing a robust reporting system for public data display. Next, please. These are the third and fourth question that we asked during, that public survey. And essentially, it seems that according to the survey, BTEX, methane, and benzene are the top 3 priority in terms of air pollutants to be monitored in Porter Ranch and surrounding communities. And another important piece of information that we were able to gather is that out of all of the different monitoring strategies, fence line and stationary monitoring are also, highly regarded as, potential strategies for monitoring. So, in essence, although this was not an official vote, but it was a very useful exercise to confirm that the community feedback on air monitoring priorities and strategies is well in line with the main requirements of the monitoring SEP agreement. Next, please. So as part of this particular process, we have drafted a request of proposal, or RFP, to solicit bids that meet all requirements included in the consent decree and to address the community feedback. It's very important to remember that there is a formal process identified by the consent decree, and we need to follow it. However, within this particular set of requirements, we have made a specific effort to include input and feedback that we have received from this community during past public meetings. Within the RFP, we have specified the targeted pollutants, again, benzene, BTEX compound, and methane at the very minimum. Although we are also interested in proposals that include monitoring of other gaseous air pollutants. In terms of other requirements, the RFP include the full description of what is called a statement of work that clarified, all of the elements that should be included in the proposal, such as, the number of air monitoring location. We would like to know from the different contractors about the length of time that they can operate their air monitoring system, the type of analysis methods that will be conducted, quality assurance, quality control requirements to make sure that the data collected are of the highest quality, and other specifications. Next, please. So there will be additional opportunities for public input, such as today during this public meeting. We would like to hear from you during the Q&A session, but also in terms of what comes next, there will be a stationary source committee on March 19. That also will provide, again, another opportunity for public input. There I've included, a link if you want to learn more about this particular committee, who is going to be present, and the type of information that are going to be discussed. And then on April 2nd, there is the actual governing board meeting where we will ask the board to approve the release of this RFP. And yet again, during the meeting, there will be another opportunity for public comment. Next, please. So we think that we have a good process to move forward with the implementation of this SEP. And what you see in this slide is a summary of the different steps that will lead to the implementation of an air monitoring and incident reporting system in Port and Ranch and in the surrounding areas. I mean, in essence, again, the next step will be stationary source committee, then the governing board. And then once the RFP will be released, there will be on April 16 of 2021, a bidders conference, which is essentially a virtual meeting where, that will assist all of the potential contractor and vendors, in understanding and gathering information about potential updates and amendments to the RFP, and that will give us an opportunity also to answer any questions that they might have. So for transparency, a recording of this conference will be posted on the South Coast AQMD website. The next step would be then May 7th, where at 5 p.m. of May 7th, all of the proposals are due to the South Coast AQMD. Then it will take us about a little more than 2 weeks to fully evaluate the proposal. And, we anticipate that the execution of this contract will happen by July 2nd. And this is kind of a full roadmap that will lead to the implementation of, that will lead to the beginning of, the implementation of the air monitoring SEP. And, with this, I conclude my presentation. And, if Paul, you go to the next slide. Yeah, there you can find my email address, my telephone number. You can contact me with any question related to this particular RFP, the implementation of the SEP, and anything related to this process. And at this point, I would be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Great. Thank you, Andrea. So at this time, we'd like to hear from you. So this will begin the comment and question and answer session for the monitoring SEP implementation process. Some video instructions for Zoom to participate. If you would like to make public comment, if you're on Zoom, please click on the raise hand button on the Zoom screen. And if you're using Zoom on your smartphone, please tap the raise hand button on the bottom of the screen. For those of you who are calling on a phone line, please press *9 on your keypad to signal that you would like to comment. Your name will be called when it's your turn to comment, and then your line will unmute so you can begin your comment or question. And with that, please go ahead and start raising your hands, and I'll start calling on you. So the first question we'll take is from Asad Najir. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Please unmute Asad, and he can provide comment.
Okay, he's been unmuted and he just needs to unmute himself now. Jason?
Okay.
There we
Good
go.
evening, everybody. Yes, hi, this is Asad Al-Najjar. I'm with the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council. I chair the safety committee and I'm part of the ad hoc air monitoring committee. My question is in regard the anticipated air monitoring system. Do you envision to have it fixed point or fixed point plus what do you call it, mobile monitoring terminals? How do you envision the system components would be? Thank you.
Sure, thanks for your question. And it's very dependent on the type of proposal that we will receive as part of this, RFP process. I mean, so far, if you participated to the October 2020 meeting, there we discussed that a few companies and vendors already expressed interest in participating in this proposal. And although these were not fully developed proposal, they gave us, a decent idea of who might submit, a proposal and might participate to this process. And in there was really, a mix of, fence line monitoring and stationary monitoring, mobile monitoring. We have not seen any proposal, that tried to basically, that was trying to develop aerial measurements from an airplane, but that those are also potential type of strategies that we might get as part of this process. So it all depends from the type of vendor that are interested in this particular process and the type of proposal that we'll receive as a result.
Yeah, the reason I mentioned that, I'm very active in the city of Los Angeles in the design of the smart city for the past 32 years. And I've seen all the presentations and the vendors, and I don't want to put them down, but I don't foresee anything ready as is by one vendor. The way I envision it, and this is how I discussed it internally within the city of LA, that the approach should be a blend of everybody that we talked to so far and from your vendors, and hopefully there will be newcomers for the RFP. From engineering and designing perspective, I don't think many of these companies understand the need or the approach of a smart city. And as a city engineer and as a Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council member, I'm offering you to help anytime if you need help, guys, on how to direct this. I have some prototypes that we are implementing as the city of Los Angeles for all the city of LA, not only Porter Ranch, but it's beyond what you're doing. But this is a great step, and we're here to help you and with anything we can.
Great, definitely appreciate your comments and your question, Asad. Thank you very much. I think our next question was coming from Bruce. Did you just put down your hand? I thought I saw your hand up. I think you are also unmuted. Go ahead, Bruce. Bruce, go ahead. I believe you can hit the unmute button now and speak.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Can you hear me now?
We can. Thank you. Go ahead.
I appreciate you giving a specific timeline and the events. I noted that your meetings will be posted afterward. After the proposals have been submitted to you, will they be posted also on your website so that the public can review each of the proposals and provide comment? Thank you.
So for that question, we have our district council, Nicholas Sanchez, who can respond to that. Thank you.
Hi, Bruce. The process is independent from the public. With that being said, you can do a public records request. Sorry. You can do a public records request, but the facilities, or I'm sorry, the bidders will have the opportunity, which, you know, I'm going to be perfectly candid with you, which they often do. They claim business trade secrets, and they don't like making that available to the public. But the bidding process is a formal bidding process. That's what we're required to do as a government agency. So the bidders conference, the public can RSVP to attend, but that's really only intended for the bidders to get clarity, ask questions to help them in their bids being responsive. But the reports, they can be requested through public records or the bids, but the facilities, you know, they may exercise their right to keep that information confidential. Things that are not proprietary, we will be able to release them, but the timing of it will be past the review time with the RFP panel. I hope that answers your question.
Great. Thank you, Nick.
No, I'd like a little further clarification, if you please. I've participated in processes before. You're offering something that's going to serve the public. You want public comment. Why shouldn't the public see? They're only going to state what they're going to do. We're not going to review some trade secret technology. We're only going, people are going to say, we're going to put a stationary station. We're going to monitor with vehicles, whatever. That's the description. Why can't the public see however many number of proposals have been submitted and be provided a period to offer comment about their preferred offer?
Right. I mean, this is not, we're proceeding under our formal bid process. The integrity of the process relies on subject matter experts. And we completely understand the community's concern on who will be involved in that process. So it is not entirely AQMD people. We have sought academic and other experts in the field of air monitoring, but the formal bidding process does not allow additional review, you know, in addition to that process. So I understand your concern, Bruce, and wanting to give more information, but the process does not allow for that. And as we indicated in the slides, there will be 2 opportunities at the committee and before our full governing board if you want to raise any concerns, you know, with the answers I'm providing you.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll move to Julie Kornstein. Julie, you'll be unmuted soon, and you may speak when.
Okay, you can hear me now?
We can. Thank you. Proceed.
Thank you. I just need a little bit of clarification. So the your RFP is only for the air monitoring system? That's all that you're doing, your committee in particular? Did you hear what I said? Yeah.
Yeah. No. Thank you for, you know, it's clear. The question is clear. It's for both the air monitoring, the real-time air monitoring system, and for the symptom and incident reporting system. So there are 2 components.
Okay, but it's solely for the air, not what is in the soil, and is someone else in charge of that? Or you don't handle that at all?
No, this is not part of the process we are
Because
discussing.
you're the air quality, I got it, okay. So you would not have anything to do with any radioactive residue that's in the soil, because you had mentioned earlier, I guess it was the community that was interested in the benzene levels and the BTX and so forth. I didn't see radioactive material on that list.
No, this is in particular for air pollutants. So
Okay.
for
I understand that you just said at the very beginning, you showed a list of items that people were concerned about.
Sure.
Once you get the information you're going to receive, and by the way, it's somewhat disappointing that it's not until July that the study begins. Is that correct? Not until July?
that is when we think that the contract will be executed. Again, there are steps that we need to follow, and I think that that's kind of a very reasonable and feasible, more than anything else, timeline.
Okay, so
maybe add on to that. So that's when the contract becomes active. It doesn't mean that air monitoring can begin unless, you know, sites are ready to go, the equipment's ready to go. So there may be some time in terms of depending on
it could be later than that. Yeah, I understand, but my disappointment is that this October, it'll be 6 years from the methane explosion, and I don't understand how long things take to happen. Once you have the information, do you know how long is the contract for, and at what point do you receive the information on it?
So that the information will be part of the proposals that will be submitted as part of the RFP.
And so you can't discuss that? I mean, what I'm trying to get at is, what is the end all? What do you do with that information? What is the purpose of doing this?
Well, you know, in terms of time, I mean, again, based on, you know, there's different way to basically use those funds, right? If, you know, different companies might be able to afford to conduct monitoring for a period of 2 years, some others might extend it to 5 years or above, you know, beyond the 5 years. But the overall purpose of, I mean, essentially going through this type of process is so that the review panel can select the one, or, you know, the contractor or the set of contractors that are going to basically, you know, provide the best monitoring opportunity for this community. So, you know, this is a formal process that will allow us to receive multiple proposals that then will be then evaluated to select the 1 or 2 or 3 that,
Right.
that are.
No, I understand that. What is the purpose of the monitoring system? What will we know after they set it up?
Well, it depends, you know, the way it's going to be, you know, for example, if there is a fence line monitoring system that will be selected, I mean, that will allow us to basically monitor 24/7 the concentration of methane, benzene, BTEX. BTEX stands for benzene, toluene, ethyl benzene, and xylenes. So it will allow us to monitor the concentration of the pollutants of interest at the fence line and or in the community in real time, right? That's part of the proposal. So real time means continuously, most likely at the time resolution that is possibly, you know, close to 1 to 5 minutes, you know, so to gather information on a continuous basis about about emissions of this pollutant that might come out from the facility.
Okay, I understand. I appreciate that. Once you have that information, what do you do with it? What happens next?
Well, it depends, right? I think that, you know, since this monitoring system is tied to the incident reporting system, I think the idea is to be able to, you know, if there are peaks of methane or methane concentration that are higher than they should be, you know, the community will be notified of those, you know, instances immediately, right? So the idea of this, you know, of this project is to be able to monitor the compounds of interest in real time and notify the community in case there are situations that might be, you know, dangerous.
So you're saying that if you see that something like benzene is showing up greater now,
yes,
that you're going to notify the community to stay in their homes? I don't understand.
Well, the notification is about, you know, the concentration of benzene being higher than what is considered to be background. And then, you know, possibly depends from the proposal that we receive, but, you know, there could be, you know, kind of notification that advise the community on what to do depending on the concentration level that are measured. So there will be, you know, possibly even, you know, recommended actions that go along with those notifications.
What do you mean by action?
I mean, again, as I said, if the concentration is extremely high, let's say like multiple times higher than background concentration, or just 1 or 2 times, in exceedances of the relative exposure limit for either acute or chronic, there might be different action that the community is recommended to follow depending on what's found by the monitoring
for
system.
example, because there are 2 schools in the area, you would recommend that they shut down like they had to during the methane explosion?
I mean, I wouldn't be able to answer these specific questions. I think, again, like what we are discussing here is the purpose of the air monitoring and notification system at large in generic terms, right? Then, we'll have to see the type of proposal we receive, the type of proposal that will be selected. And then I think that we can, kind of dig into the details of
Okay.
what.
And I don't mean to take up so much time, but I'm very concerned. I live in the area and have lived here for a long time.
Sure.
Would there be any communication between you and the gas company if there is an issue like that? Or is it just to tell the community to stay in their homes and close their windows?
No, I think, we can use this information, potentially in order to, even conduct investigations if the concentration level are a lot higher than they should be. And, this type of information is not just useful for the community, but is useful for an air quality agency like ours that has a compliance team and compliance group and, different divisions that do different type of things.
So yeah, just to wrap up, Julie, we're going to try getting to some other questions here. Is that, the main purpose is to provide information about these pollutants and when, how often, it's essentially to look at the air pollution in the community, and it provides information to the community. It provides information to us, so that way, as Andrea mentioned, there could be certain actions maybe taken for yourselves, as well as, if we see it and we become concerned, there's actions that we can take on top of that. So definitely appreciate your comment and your concern, because we understand it's very important for you. But we would like to hear from others as well. If there is more time, we can maybe come back to you.
That's okay, thank you.
All right. The next hand up I saw was Matt Pacuco. Matt, you'll be unmuted and you can go ahead and provide your comment and/or questions.
Can you hear me?
You can, go ahead.
Okay, great. My name is Matt Pacuco, president and co-founder of Save Porter Ranch. We're like the frontline nonprofit organization that's been dealing with this issue from before day one. Yeah, so what Judy was alluding to, and which we really need to get clearer from you guys. Okay, there's been a notification. That's great for us, community, to do something about it, whether it be stay indoors, leave, run like hell, whatever we want to do, that's one thing. But what you need to do, what is your job to do, you need to have a response plan in place, a rapid response plan, because you know, and we know probably better than you, how fast that stuff will disappear, how the whatever is in the air, how fast it is gone. So you need to do your job and be here to deal with the problem, not just us, because there's not much we can do except run and hide. So you yourselves and other government organizations need to be linked in for real-time response. What do you have in place to do that?
Yeah, so I think that as a follow-up to the answer to to the previous answer, it's important to understand that we do rely on the different complaints and the different information that we will get also through this new, air monitoring system. We do have an investigation process that will benefit for additional information that we will receive, through the system, right? So, I mean, again, it's part of what is already in place through the AQMD, but will provide additional information to react faster and sooner that we can possibly do at this time. But also as a specific example of something that has already been proposed, I think one of your community members proposed to submit a proposal of an incident reporting system that would be able to notify the AQMD specifically and other, public agency in real time as, this type of like fugitive emission might occur. So, I mean, again, I think that there's already an interest, but not just within your community, but also from other vendors that we have been communicated with, in implementing a system that doesn't just monitor pollutants, but also provide a mechanism for reporting the type of information, not just to the community, but to us and to the entities that then have the ability to react and that kind of implement the appropriate changes.
Okay, so, and also that response by whichever agencies, that would be on your own dime. That would not be go on the budget of this community monitor. Since that is, so yeah, great. Okay, other question is, when will it be determined what are the final compounds that will be measured? You said that that list earlier was not an official list, BTEX, benzene, methylene, etc. When will the final list be made?
So in the request for proposal, we specified the three main components. Again, just benzene, BTEX, and methane. But we also included that we are encouraging potential contractor to measure the concentration of both criteria pollutants, so PM 2.5 or other pollutants of interest, but also specifically other air toxic pollutants. I mean, there we left that particular description, generic, just because I mean, again, there are several companies that can measure multiple air toxic pollutants. We don't want to limit it to a prescribed list. So we want to see what the potential contractor have to offer, and depending on the proposal that we'll receive, then we will select. The type and number of pollutants that they can measure is going to be, an important criteria for selecting the right contractor.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Great, thank you, Matt. The next hand I saw up is Miran. Miran, you'll be unmuted and you'll be able to unmute soon.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead, Miran.
I have a question to Andrea. Andrea, a few simple questions. SQMD, they have a final report and executive report summary on the air quality monitoring data. Can you release that one more time? And secondly, I know that JPL, they are doing flyovers and measuring compounds. Why you don't reach out to JPL? Because they are the only one they are qualified for this job. They're the only one they are qualified for monitoring, no one else. And thirdly, are you going to use any permanent fence line type monitoring option? And then I think that also there was also a report from UCLA on this particular matter.
Yes, let me make a note so that I remember all of the four questions. So if you are referring to the report that we released, several years ago on the, the incident that occurred in 2015, definitely we can send you a copy. We would like to just find a way to, if you can, let us know your email address or where we should send, a copy of the report, by all means. The report, I believe, is still online. But at least we'll kind of, provide the information on how you can download a copy of that report. In terms of, sorry?
I will reach out to you directly, Andrea, because you and I, we worked in the past.
Absolutely, not a problem. So in terms of the aerial measurements, I'm quite sure that there will be, companies such as JPL. There's another company up in Northern California. Is called Scientific Aviation, has been involved before in aerial measurements around the Aliso Canyon facility. There's a new group in Berkeley that also has the possibility to conduct aerial measurements locally. There's another company called Aerospace. They all have aerial capabilities. And if you remember, in the survey question that I showed before, aerial measurement was one of the potentially proposed strategies for monitoring for this community. It doesn't score as high as fence line and stationary monitoring, but I'm quite sure that there will be several companies at least that will be able, that will have the opportunity to read the RFP and to participate if they want to. Yeah.
Andrea, I remember, if I'm not mistaken, that the wavecar technology is also another option to allow to unlock the mobile air monitoring vehicle.
Yes.
And by using smart iPhones. And I know that you have the capability of training. You do have a joint agreement with us, Boeing and JPL. When that can project move forward, I think it's only a matter of time from you to send that RFP and the guideline, so we can be able to proceed forward.
No, absolutely. And we will do our best to make sure that we reach out to all of these company that might be interested in participating. And, we will advertise, the RFP to, multiple organization, companies, academic institution, and anybody else that.
Because this is a very specific project. This is aerospace engineers. They are the only one they can understand about the quality, the recommendation, about how the air monitoring system, it will operate, link in the satellite, the data. That's why I'm very in particular, hopefully that JPL or Boeing or 3M, they need to be the front runner for this project. So otherwise, the outcome of the results will be not valid.
Yeah, we do have, as part of the review panel, we do have, I'm not sure, I can comment on, the specifics of who's part of the review panel, but I can guarantee you that we do have, individuals that are experts, both in ground-based and also aerial measurements. And so we will do, again, our best to evaluate all of the proposal impartially and come up with the best solution for the community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Marin. Next hand I saw up is Fareed, and after Fareed will be Maureen. So Fareed will be unmuted right now.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Very good. My name is Fareed Shokani, and I'm president of Viper Networks. We are actually working on the smart monitoring system for the Porter Ranch and the LA County area. And just to give you like a basic overview, we are using terrestrial system, solar-based, because, connecting devices, you need electricity, you need communication, and we are able to provide that kind of technology because that's what we do. We build smart city devices. So it will be self-sustained, self-cleaning solar system, so no need for maintenance. There will be GSM connection. The admin and engineers connected can set the threshold parameters for all sensors. All kinds of sensors can be connected. Air monitoring or liquid monitoring, ground monitoring, anything you want can be connected to it. So it will be comprehensive monitoring. At the same time, it is also the software-based. The system will send, of course, the reports as as you choose those intervals, 5 minutes, 1 hour, whatever have you. But then at the same time, if those sensors get a certain threshold, it will send back immediately, a report. And at that time, all the users on the network get a text message, or because we will have a mobile app, or they'll get an app message notification. The user, let's say it's a citizen in the city, they have it on they have the app on their device, can be Android or iOS, and they will get that notification. So they can see it and act on it. They can be interactive. They can physically say, yes, I do see something, I smell something, or what have you. Then they can actually be interactive to the point they can walk around or drive around and give feedback. So they will give more input from that side. Also, they are able to give feedback as in statistical feedback to their health status. Are you nauseated? Are you sick? Do you have a headache? Are you sick? and they can fill up a survey and send it back at the same time. Now, that whole system, we build it for air monitoring and other sensor activity as part of our smart system. And we will be hoping to finish model deployment and send a sample to the Porter Ranch community very shortly, maybe mid-April or early April if we can. But we are actually in final stages of design and ability to have any sensor as requested. So you say you want methane, benzene, or whatever have you, you specify to us what you want.
And Farid, also in the interest of time, we look forward to evaluate your bid. It seems conceptually, to be a good idea. I mean, as you know, there will be technical specification that all contractors need to satisfy, including detection limit, accuracy, precision biases, and all kind of, technical specs and parameters. We'll see, hopefully your proposal and technology will be able to satisfy those parameters. And, again, looking forward to learning more about what you are proposing.
Yes, thank you very much. And we are looking forward for your proposal for what you need, and we will work with it, and we'll even open it from our side for further need if you need anything else to be added at any point.
Okay, thank you, Farid.
Thank you.
Next, we have Maureen. Maureen, go ahead and unmute. And then next after Maureen will be Craig Galanti. So Maureen, go ahead and unmute now. Maureen?
Jason, we have tried to unmute her 4 times.
Oh, okay.
Him or her, I'm sorry.
Maureen, we'll come back to you. Craig, we'll go to you right now. Maureen, we'll try you again after Craig, okay? Craig, go ahead.
Here we go. Now you should be able to hear me.
We do. Thank you.
Okay, good. Thanks, Jason. So, please don't take any of my comments as any sort of harsh criticism. They're more observations, but I'm asking for the AQMD to take note and do something about it. I applaud Julie for bringing up the obvious, and that is, what are you going to do with this information? And I could tell by your gentleman's response, you're not prepared to what the plan is, and you're fixated on just a review process and an RFP. She's right. What are we going to do with this? How is it going to alert emergency services? How will there will be actions taken based upon certain parameters? All of that could be mapped out today, right now. If the benzene levels hit this, what's the action plan? So, you guys are remiss in not following through in that, and working with your counterparts and fire department and EMSs, et cetera. The other thing that I have to observe, and I really, really wish that you guys would take very serious consideration to, is your timeline. We met back in October, and we were told by the Aliso Fund Committee that we would be up and running in early 2021. And just looking at your timeline and allowing for some slippage, we're not up monitoring anything until mid to late summer. That's not acceptable to this community that's been this patient this long and avoided for this long. Another observation is, you guys really do have this backwards, and you guys really need to take a critical look at your process. You are taking like 6 months, if you conclude back to October, to put together a process for an RFP. Yet you're going to give those applying for the contract weeks. I forgot exactly if it was 4 weeks, maybe 6, whereas you're taking 6 months to get to that point. This needs to be inverted. This needs to be fast-tracked. This cannot be business as usual, because promises were made back in the fall and the end of last year that we would have monitoring up here protecting us, and that's not happening. You guys need to find a way to fast-track this, not just running it through a bureaucratic mill. And the last observation I'll make, and I would like some perspectives on how you guys are going to address this, is we've seen this movie before, where you guys take information from the community. This was on the health study, the $1 million, and nothing happened. Now, I realize you put the $1 million back into the air monitoring, but if this goes into some vacuum, and then Bruce was chasing this down but didn't get satisfactory answers, the review process of the vendor and what you're going to, what the eventual application will be needs a great deal of transparency, because you guys inherited an incredible mistrust in the community, and you have to address that. Those are my 3 points. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. I think, Craig, just you mentioned that you wouldn't want to reference on the last one, that I think our district council, Nick Sanchez, mentioned in terms of the integrity of the process for the decision making for the RFP, to have the experts to weigh in on the decision, to kind of translate, again, the priorities that we heard from the community meetings in October, translate that into the technical plan that those experts think is going to be most responsive to all the conditions of the decree, because that's primarily what the funding is applicable for. And then also that flexibility, we've talked about that before, in terms of, is there flexibility to bring in some of the priorities that we heard in October? And yes, and that's what we're building in as part of that process.
Yes, Jason, but to do it behind closed doors, because that's the process that the attorney wants, does not unring the bell of the serious mistrust. So counsel, go back, figure out a way to be more transparent. Don't just tell us this is how it's going to be. We've seen this movie before. I mean, you guys got to give us some respect.
Yeah, understood, Mr. Galante. I hear what you're saying loud and clear. I've attended the meetings, Jason, Andre, and we've been involved with the situation there from the beginning when the event first happened. But let's be clear. The distrust that you've said, when we try to evaluate internally, is this a project that we can take upon ourselves? The message from the community is, we don't trust you. We don't like your ideas. We had the meeting. We heard feedback from some of the vendors that we've worked with. There's been plenty of communication behind the scenes on the community's preferences. But as a government agency, we are not a private business. We can't just, absent some proprietary sole source product that clearly would check all the boxes, we go through a formal process. We understand your concern that the bureaucratic timeline for it is not appreciated, especially based upon how long the community's waited. We don't dispute that. We completely understand that, and we have tried to compress it as much as possible. And so that's where we're at, is to have a competitive process with the goal to get as much time and as many resources. And we will take back your concern, as well as the other community members. Now that we're going to have that data, is it going to improve services? Is it going to be more enlightening? Is there going to be better reaction? But we always have a complaint process. We never hesitate to report incidents to emergency services. We work with other agencies, and wherever there's an opportunity for us to give data and to give assurances to the community, we don't hesitate to do this. And this will be hopefully an ability to increase that trust and to be more of a resource to the community. And for the data not to be, as I've mentioned at the other meetings, not just a bunch of columns on a spreadsheet, which doesn't mean anything to anybody. Hopefully we can bridge that gap and improve from where we're at.
Great, thank you. Next we have Assam, and after Assam will be Jane Fowler. So go ahead, we'll unmute Assam.
Yes, can you hear me?
We can, thank you, go ahead.
Thank you. I'd like to say that when you installed your system during the well failure and the blowout, in partnership with CARB, you also incorporated an online live feed system that community members could access, not only to see the charts, but also to download any data live without any filtering. Will you commit to including that component in the scope of work so that there is no wall between the data and the community's access to it at any time?
Yes, so transparency in the way that the data are collected, displayed, showed to the public, are part of the requirements of this scope of work. And, it's definitely, we will look at proposal that can guarantee, transparency in the way that the data are collected and shared with the community with, more favorably than other proposal. And ideally, and we are looking for proposal that will allow the data to be downloaded so that other members of the community, and we know that you have a lot of technical expert in important range, can also download the data and take a look at spatial temporal variability, analyze the data their own way. So
If I may be a little more blunt, I would ask that you consider a disqualification of any proposal that does not include direct and unfeathered access to the data by the community. We cannot afford another mistrust issue. All I'm asking is to make that, please, a mandatory requirement as a minimum requirement of the proposal to provide access to the data live as well as downloadable in CSV format.
Yep, point well taken.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Assam. We'll move to Jane Fowler. So Jane Fowler, you will be unmuted, and after Jane Fowler will be Hassan.
Hi, I'm Jane Fowler, and thank you for allowing us to speak with you again. Just first off, I love my community. Many questions have been answered, so, or maybe not answered, put to you. But I also want to remind you of our health, why this is so important to us. I woke up today with electric body. I mean, I just call that because I don't know what else to call it. There's this feeling of, nerves just running up and down, a sore throat, and it's embarrassing, diarrhea, these are symptoms that I have. And it's not just me, it's so many people. Heart palpitations, bloody noses, headaches. I just want you to remember this is why we are so upset. And the October meeting that we went to, we thought we were going to get, something by the beginning of of this year. And now it just feels like the same meeting as the October meeting with just the timeline pushed down the road. Maybe you have a lot of work to do. I don't know what you have to do, but it's not good for us. Like, I don't know when there's going to be, there's always leaks, but an intense leak. And if I had some kind of monitor or something now, I would feel a little more comforted in that it's like, okay, I'm not going crazy. And I know I'm not going crazy because, on Facebook, we speak to each other and whatever, but, the government, people who are in charge need to know that something is happening again, and we need to be evacuated immediately. We need to know what's going on. It's like, it almost feels like a PTSD because, 3, 5, 2 days a week, I feel like crap. And, sometimes it's 7 days a week. And I want to know what is in my air. I also want to tell you that I've called 1-800-CUT-SMOG when I'm smelling gas, and they tell me, oh, we're not coming out for Aliso anymore. Also, I'm trying to be quick here. When you were talking about, I forget whom, one of my brilliant community members was talking about, the air monitoring from the jet propulsion labs, the people that are already around doing this. And you said, oh yeah, we'll reach out to them. Why haven't you already reached out to them? Why are the vendors that we heard in October, why isn't anything done with them? I'm sorry, I'm expressing extreme frustration, but you are the people that, I need to express it to, because now it's like, the summertime. And then I feel like because of bureaucracy, it's not going to be until the fall or the winter or next year. And we need it now. We needed it many, many years ago, but we need you to work quickly because this is our health. just one last question, because I feel very confused. And it's like, you are the South Coast Air Quality Management District. And I want to know, what do you see for us? Because you are the people that monitor the quality of our air. And I feel like you're like, well, we'll look into this one or that one. It just feels so vague to me. If I could ask from you maybe a little more concrete, like, this is your area of expertise, what do you recommend? I'm just curious, please.
So thanks for your testimony. I think that, it's not the first time that we hear, personal stories, and really it's a we feel for you. And I think from our point of view, we are I keep insisting on the word process. I mean, there is a process, and the timeline that you have seen at the end of the presentation is literally the fastest way, the first steps that we can follow. Again, the next step, it's only, a few days away, in the sense, by going to the stationary source committee, getting it approved, then going to the board in early April. And from there, we need to take time to do a proper review. And again, I think the positive news today is that that process has been triggered. And from now on, it's a matter of making it happen in a way that follows all of the necessary steps that we are bound to follow. There's no other way around it. And that we want to make sure that at the very end, we select the one or more contractors that will get the job done. And we'll do our best. I think that, in addition to the public meetings, we had 3 already. Jason and myself had other meetings with the representative of the CAG. We are more than willing to answer any questions any day of the week. I mean, at this point, you do have my telephone number, you have my address. If you have any more question that you have related to the RFP and the RFP process, by any means, please contact me. Would be happy to basically provide further explanation related to the RFP and the implementation of this SEP. With regard to your last question about what do you think is needed, I mean, personally, I think that, given the fund availability, a given, example of the proposal from vendors that will apply for this RFP, I think we will be able to put a monitoring program in place that is appropriate for the immediate need of the community. I believe that, for quite a few years right now, you have had a continuous methane monitor that has been running in Porter Ranch and that the community has found to be very useful. So I believe that some sort of fence line monitoring definitely would help the community. Stationary monitoring back in 2015-16 has been also quite a good resource to better understand the problem and whether or not there is some potential impact in the community. But we will have to see, right? We will have to see how many people apply, the type of proposal that we get. The promise that we can make on our end is that we'll do our best to select what's best for the community. I mean, at this point, there will be a range of proposals spanning from fence line monitoring, community monitoring, anything between, potentially aerial monitoring, sensors, state-of-the-art technology, and so on and so forth. So we have a big task. I think that the review panel is definitely a big task, but I can guarantee you that every single member of this review panel is more than well qualified to make a good choice.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Next is Hassan, and after Hassan will be Deirdre. So Hassan, you'll be unmuted now.
Good evening, Jason and Andrea. Thank you so much. My name is Hassan Memarian. I'm a member of Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council. I think the point that Islam mentioned about the trust is really a key point. Case in time, we actually have an ad hoc monitoring committee within the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council. Unfortunately, there's been very little interaction from AQMD to the entire board and specifically to our monitoring committee. I do believe, that you are doing your best to get proposals and based on certain criteria to bring a unit or a system to our community that is going to hopefully work adequately. As also previously pointed out, we do have expertise. There's quite a few people in our community who have quite a bit of knowledge in this area. If you really want to see and get the trust of the community, I think you should also engage the community and specifically Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council in any of the decision making in regard to the RFPs and exactly what you're going to do. My specific question is, are you going to share that information with us and then allow us to be part of it, or are you just going to give it to your panel and allow your expert to make that decision?
So Hassan, thank you for the question. And I think that's why we're having this dialogue right now. As Andrea had mentioned, we are incorporating your feedback into the elements of the RFP. So if you have that expertise and knowledge that you'd like to provide, this is a good time to provide it. Andrea and I can follow up meeting with you and the air monitoring committee. So if you'd like, we can follow up to hear more detailed knowledge that you would like to provide as part of that.
Certainly, I will be happy to. I believe we don't want to just provide feedback. We also would like to get the same level of information that you are getting and hopefully be able to see those proposals and give you feedback based on those. I think it's really critical, as I said before, to build the community trust that you are not just following, some steps just to check mark what needs to be done. And yes, we talked to these guys. We really would like to be interactive. We would love to be part of this decision making. And again, if the decision is made and you bring a unit and it's not going to meet certain criteria, it's not going to look very good on AQMD and frankly, anyone else involved with it. So I'm just putting that on the record that is not just giving feedback. Yes, we want monitoring this, we want monitoring that, because the accuracy, the precision, the reliability of all this equipment is going to make a difference. We want to know the specific vendors, suppliers, what they have been doing before, what level of work they have engaged. And I think we need to have that voice heard from at least specific from our community, and we'll be more than happy to discuss that with our community. But we do have a committee. We'll be very happy to engage with you. But again, that's up to you to how much information you're going to provide to us so we can give you feedbacks.
So I want to guarantee that we are not checking boxes. If we're just checking boxes, Andrea and I don't think we've already approached the leadership in the community to solicit the ideas about even this meeting. We definitely appreciate the knowledge that you would like to share with us. There are just certain things with the public process to protect the integrity that unfortunately, as you heard from our district council, we're not going to be able to do. But whatever information we can provide and discussions that you can be involved with, I think this is an ongoing dialogue for discussing of this project. So like I said, Andrea and I will commit to to meeting with you and the ad hoc air monitoring committee and hear about your knowledge and share what we can about the process and more of the technologies that could be considered. And as a reminder, the decree is very specific on certain things that we have to have in it. So those things, just have to be included. There's no way around it because that's what the money is for, and that's what the purpose of the money is. But we've heard in terms of flexibility around those points, and those are types of things that we're trying to incorporate where we can, your input, and that's where it's hugely valuable, and we appreciate the partnership and comments.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. Next is Deirdre Bologna, and after Deirdre is Lori Abazon. Deirdre, go ahead.
She needs to unmute herself, Jason.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Deirdre, you have the ability to unmute your mic and go ahead and speak after that. Yep.
Yeah.
Go.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Okay, great. It said the host muted me, so I don't know what that was about, but okay, I unmuted myself again. Hello. Yes, my name is Deirdre Bologna. I'm a resident of the Frontline community that we have to coexist with SoCal Gas. And I wanted to thank Julie Kornstein and Matt Pacuco for their questions, because as a resident, having to live with next door to this facility that constantly leaks, and as Jane Fowler said, makes so many people sick. All you have to do is go on the gas leak page and you'll see the symptoms. The air monitoring is so important. We need to know what is coming out of that facility and protect ourselves. So on Julie's question about what are you guys going to do with the information when you get it? First of all, SoCal Gas got money from the settlement to have employees that will monitor the system that was put in. Also, unfortunately, they're allowed to turn off the system anytime they want. Do you have any money coming from the lawsuit that will have employees dedicated to watching this system? And that's one of my questions. And secondly, like for instance, SoCal Gas just acidized a well last week. Okay, that's deadly chemicals that if there was an accident could have killed anyone, depending on where those chemicals went. Okay, so Matt Pacuco's question, when it does, because this will happen, they're going to have another accident of some kind up there. Is there a rapid response plan in place? I didn't really get the answer, and if not, when can you have one available, and when can you let us know what it is? Because as a resident living here, my family is the most important thing to me, and I want to keep them safe, and I don't have the power to do it, but you have the power to do it. So, and SoCal Gas is allowed to do regular maintenance venting. So when you see them like at 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, when their monitors go off and we get these horrid smells, even like the smells like Febreze, because they're allowed to put to cover the smell, we get these smells. I mean, is there anyone watching, and will they take action to tell us, hello, there's chemicals in your community, close your windows, keep your children and pets inside, don't exercise? I mean, the health department for the fires, we're sending that every week. We never got one for the blowout. So we need to be informed when there's a leak, when there's an accident, all the stuff that we never hear about, we need it. So could you answer my question about, did you get money to have any employees monitor the system, or who will be watching that system? Or will you just be depending on the community to call you like we do now?
Hi, Ms. Bologna. This is Nick Sanchez from the AQMD.
Thank you.
As we've relayed, and if you're not aware, so the facility has pieces of equipment that are subject, and they've received permits from us that are issued by the South Coast Air Quality Management District. So part of our normal process is we do conduct inspections. And as we indicated, I understand from the community, but just to reiterate, our authority is for public nuisance. And so we have to independently go out there and verify. And so that's the challenge is when a matter goes from a private nuisance to a public nuisance, we understand that line is of frustration to this community and other communities. But, I can assure you that our process in the independence that we go through to verify when there's an event and to trace it back to a source, that is why our actions, withstand challenge from facilities, but it's really dependent on complaints. But we also balance that. That's not the only source. We go out there, do inspections. If they have an event, they are supposed to report it to us. They're also subject to, when they do soil remediation at the site, if there's an issue or a potential for contamination in the soil, They're required to relay those plans to us. So we do have oversight over the facility in many different areas. But the challenge is, as you've identified, are there events or are there incidents that you are not aware of that you feel is causing harm to you? So one of the goals of this system is to provide that real-time data. And we hear loud and clear from the community. They want that data available. They want access to it. They don't want any restrictions on it. So we absolutely understand that as a goal and a priority. Our action against the facility when it happened was for them to repair things as quick as possible. We had them reporting or trying to expedite any repairs that happened to their equipment. And they had the fence line monitoring data as well as us doing monitoring in the community. The settlement that we reached was intended for the health study as well as some other mitigation actions and air filtration funds. And so that money, which, we were not able to identify a vendor to perform the health study, that's why it was repurposed to be added to expand and hopefully, create a longer timeline for air monitoring in the community. So that is the remainder of the proceeds from our settlement with the facility. But, as has been mentioned by numerous members of the community, we will take back to our executive management, what are we going to do when we see that data, and can we leverage that data to provide more response or identification of issues happening at the facility. We understand your concern, and as much as we can fit that information into what we're doing and improve upon our response at the facility and to the community, we will absolutely relay that message and see, where we can arrive at that goal.
Okay, thank you, Nick. And can you also relay the message that in case of an emergency, we are desperately in need of a rapid response to all community members to take some kind of action rather than sitting and waiting to find out, because that is missing and we need this. I mean, it's going to happen.
Understand. Sorry, Doug, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. It's going to happen again. And I just need to know there's something in place instead of me being on my own like I was here. I mean, 3 days or 2 days before they even reported it, we all knew there was stuff going on. So when you guys see the numbers on the monitors that you guys are in charge of, something has to be done. And I would like a rapid response as soon as possible to protect my.
Yeah, we understand your concern there. We are not first responders, but we do have some staff that's trained, in dealing with toxics and is able to, be closer to an event when it happens, obviously within safety. We do receive notices from the Office of Emergency Services when events happen like fires or, chemical facilities, et cetera. But, like we're saying with this additional data point, how can we coordinate with the rapid response? And we know that was something that came up, as part of, this action coming on and as well as other facilities that we deal with. But we do alert if we come across something or there's any safety issues, we absolutely alert, other first responders and health and safety issues. That's required of our inspectors, and we always try to make sure, it's not something that they wait to come and tell somebody. They know as part of their roles as inspectors for our agency to make sure that, the public's health and safety is always at the forefront.
Okay, good. So that at your next meeting, you'll be able to tell us what the rapid response will be, right?
Well, as far as what our abilities are, we will try to identify what gaps there are that we can improve upon.
Excellent, because I'll be asking the question again at the next meeting. But thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Understood. Thank you.
Thanks.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Deirdre. And our last question that I see is coming from Lori. Lori, go ahead and unmute.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Jason, Andrea, and Nick, thanks so much for hosting this meeting. I'm Lori Avazian. I'm a member of the Community Advisory Group for the Health Study. I'm also a member of the Aliso Moms Alliance and a board member of Save Porter Ranch and a stakeholder in Porter Ranch who lives 1.9 miles from the facility. So very worried about my family's safety. I wanted to reiterate the importance, just as Julie, Craig, Matt, Jane, Deirdre, and others, of a rapid response plan and a notification system. I found myself, as I'm sure others have, in a unique position when we had those huge earthquakes out in Ridgecrest last year. I texted Isam Najm, like, what do we do? How do we know if there's a blown out well during an earthquake? We don't. I would like to make an added request for some type of alarm system like the oil refineries and gasoline refineries in the South Bay have for events such as this, so that we know to get out, so we don't just have to guess. I mean, many of us have loaded our cars and left when there have been earthquakes or horrible smells. I also wanted to just let you know that 2 to 3 times a week for the last 3 or 4 weeks, we've got that horrible Febreze smell that's coming from the facility where they're masking odors. Last night on social media, there were multiple reports of a horrible odor being smelled from Chatsworth all the way up to the gates of the community. I used to be like the AQMD police, advising people to call 1-800 cut smog and trying to get enough people reporting it so that we could get a response. I don't do that anymore because the last few times I've tried, if it was a Saturday or a Sunday, which it always seems to be, the next time I got a response, if I got one, was Monday morning after 10 a.m. Of course, the odors are going to be long gone. So we really, in this community, because of this facility and how dangerous it is, need you to have a better response so that we can get verification and some type of repercussions reports for SoCal Gas so that they don't continue to poison us the way that they do. So again, I'm just asking for that rapid response and some type in the next meeting. We'd love to have you guys work on it and give us some kind of answers as to how you're going to connect this system that we're so happy that you're working on for us, how you're going to connect it to a rapid response and some type of notification to the people that surround this dangerous facility. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll take your comments back and we can provide more information as we continue the dialogue. Okay, I'll take one last question from Matt Pakuko as repeat. So we have a little bit of time, so we'll take it.
Okay, actually, Kyoko Habino from Save Porter Ranch wants to speak.
Hi, yeah, I just don't have the visual, so.
Okay, great.
Yeah. My name is Kyoko Hibino, and I'm just wanted to add it to the comments that Lori just made about the Febreze smell. It is so strong, and it's been so many years, and it's in the middle of the night, and we all believe it. A lot of people in our community that we believe that people are just doing the laundry 2:30 in the morning. That's not the case, and the smell is just so strong. And then it's entire block, and we are in situations like we're so lost about it. You know, you guys don't take it seriously about that smell. We call and nobody comes in and nobody's talk about it, but it's something not really usual, and we shouldn't smell like this. So what kind of action are you going to take? I mean, we really need to know that answer right away, because first of all, I don't know what we are breathing, and it's been years, and there's no answer.
Hi, Ms. Sabino. This is Nick Sanchez. So odors are considered air contaminants, which is within our authority. We have dealt with, especially at landfills where they add odorant to try to mask, odors or odor neutralizers. And it's oftentimes more offensive than the odor that's actually coming from a facility. I'm going to talk to our compliance team tomorrow to relay, because we've obviously heard from multiple members of the community that they're now starting to sense. And how long is this for? You said it's been going on for a very long time with the Febreze smell?
yeah, years. Like I think
Years,
it's
since we lived
even,
here.
yeah, even before the blowout.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, we all think like, okay, oh, we walk around at night. So we know how the smell is, and like 2 in the morning, like really, really late at night. And we all believe that, okay, it was just somebody's using perfume, or somebody's using like really strong like detergent for the laundry, but it's like 2 in the morning. It's like, and it's so entire block. I don't think that's somebody's perfume, or completely like change the air. So it's and it's been a long time. And I
Okay,
think
we'll look into this. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, we are familiar as some of those neutralizers or odorants. They can be, an annoyance or like I said, repugnant to members of the community. So I will talk with the compliance team and see, what we can find out about that, and the complaints that have been coming in regarding that issue.
And it's not just that they're annoying or repugnant. That's what was said about mercaptan in the beginning, until we dig into what mercaptan is and find out mercaptan itself is a toxin. So it's not like, oh, it's a bad smell. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about
No, I understand what you're saying.
and what's it doing to us.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. Yeah, but those things should have material safety data sheets. And so, typically anything that they're going to do that's going to, hit the ambient air, they're supposed to have the composition of that. And so that's, typically they're supposed to be safe. I understand, but we will look into this issue.
when do we know that, and how do we know that?
Well, I mean, you're relaying something. I am not familiar with recent odor events in the community, but that's what I'm going to look to talk with the inspectors that deal with the community, and the complaints that have been coming in, and any other follow-up they need to do with the facility. Again, the assumption is that this is from the Aliso Canyon facility, but sometimes there are other sources that use this odorant. So, we need to try to track down what the source is to identify it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kyoko. And that concludes, I think, public commentary. I don't see any other hands up. So I want to thank you again for all your input and your comments to address this important supplemental environmental program for the air monitoring in the Porter Ranch and nearby communities. This is part of ongoing dialogue. Again, we'll try to meet. So I think we have an action item to follow up with the ad hoc air monitoring committee. So Sam, please email Andrea so we have your contact information. We can set up that meeting to discuss with you quickly. And we'll continue with this dialogue and informational updates. And as Andrea had pointed out in the timeline, there is a couple of public comments that can be made in front of our board members with response to this process. So with that, I wish you all a good night. And we have some other follow-up with our compliance division, as Nick had mentioned. So thank you for presenting those concerns to us, because I will say that some of them I've heard for the first time, and we will look into that. So thank you very much. This concludes our meeting for tonight, and but not the conversation. So thank you very much and good night.